to the show.
So what's going on with this Area 51 thing? Because I'm really I saw it and then I kind of like searched it on Twitter like just to see, and I just kept seeing memes being posted. So I have no idea where this is coming from.
I have no idea where it started.
But somebody shared it at work.
It was just like somebody started up a petition for people to sign to go to a storm like in Area 51. Because you know they said if you go there and shoot on sight.
Yeah.
And they're like, so it's like, you know, you can't stop all of us if you get enough people.
I mean, I ain't gonna say all that.
Yeah.
They got bombs out there, you know.
And like at first it was like going there and like to set the aliens free or to see them, and then like they recently changed it, so it's like now they're trying to clap some alien cheeks.
It's mainly white people.
Yeah, I did see something like that.
White people.
One of the memes I saw, it was
Wait,
they said
clap some alien cheeks. my understanding what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You understand?
that's what people were saying. So
I mean, you just played Cards Against Humanity. You know what they're talking about.
That's why I'm like, are we right there?
One of the memes I saw was this is when the first wave is down and then you hear the sound of shattering glass and then when Stone goes walking towards it.
yeah,
Starting wrestling matches with guests.
we can't be having that.
But where did the whole want to storm Area 51 thing even come from? Like, why? Where did this?
It was just something that popped up one day.
Well, so look, the names I saw in the initial post, they were like these internet things. So it was like they had like a wave of Karens, which was the white woman who was calling the police on the people. So it was a wave of Karens, and it was like a whole bunch of internet memes conglomerated into this one thing. So it was like nonsense on top of nonsense.
The cows on the Monster Energy.
Yeah, well, what is a cow?
What happened?
Kyle is like that white kid who punches the wall and like yells at his mom and it's like always on a Monster Energy drink. Like it's just like the Karens pretty much, but for like white.
Who's the original Kyle though?
I don't know who's the original Karen.
If y'all got any
Well,
cows,
we know who the original Karen is.
Who?
That woman who called the cops for the
Was her name Karen?
Yeah, her name was Karen.
I don't remember what her name, but that's what they called her.
Yeah, but you know they just refer
So
to
it's
her.
kind of like Salt Bay, right? Remember how everybody was calling the dude who was sprinkling the Salt Bay? So it's like that's what he became. That's his name. So when you say Salt Bay, you refer to.
Well, I don't think it was about like one specific person. I think they just.
You remember when we was at the bar earlier? You said Becky and Sarah. You didn't know them,
But you knew who the hell I was talking about.
Yeah, same thing.
But yeah, that's what they're saying.
What about Maria though, man?
Okay.
I feel like
She was cold. You were,
But
man.
all right, tell us about yourself, Brandon.
My name is Brandon Dixon. I'm a college dropout, and that's pretty much it. I work at a furniture store right now. Trying to move out to probably Norfolk area.
Gotcha.
Think about going back to school. Start back out and come out community college, then transfer.
How do you know Brian?
We went to this program back in the Northern Neck called Upper Bound. And that's when I met him.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Been cool ever since.
Did you ever tell me about Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've spoken about him quite a few times.
Okay.
Have you?
I thought you did.
This is the guy. So when we go, he helped me out with some of like the marketing strategies for like the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And as far as like navigating through the YouTube algorithm, and because you have experience with like YouTube and Twitch, right? So
You do stuff on Twitch?
This is my go-to guy.
Not right now. I have. Huh?
Why don't you talk about your Twitch?
But I don't do it right now, so there's no point in doing it. So I probably won't do it. I was just doing like video games and stuff.
Okay. Like broadcasting and stuff?
Yeah, broadcasting.
Josh does that a little bit.
Do you?
MLB, it's more sports games. Right?
Okay.
All sports games. Well, not all sports games, but basketball, football.
2K and stuff. Yeah, I play that. I don't play Madden though. I'm not.
Oh, you don't play
I
Madden?
haven't played Madden probably since like Madden 13.
Any reason?
Huh?
Just because you just
I just stopped playing.
Okay. Yeah. Some people stop playing it because it's like, man, just same thing since.
I mean, 2K the same way, but I'll still play that.
I think 2K gets better.
It does
get better.
Get better over time.
Yeah, it gets better though. But
Glad somebody likes sports on it.
oh yeah, he doesn't. Really.
I mean, you don't either.
You're right.
2K19. Don't play. I don't know.
You're right. What you gonna say?
No, you're right. I really don't watch sports.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But welcome back to the Infusion Breakdown Show. It's EP.24. Yeah, EP.24. It's your boy Joshua Freeman. To my left, I got Mr. Brian Carey. Returning, we got KJ. How you doing? And of course, we got special guest Brandon.
Also, remember the cameras up there.
Up there.
Last time you were looking at the
I was.
laptop.
Okay.
I was doing that just now. Did you see?
I was watching.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you see him?
All right.
But yeah, One of the first things, one of the first topics I want to get into is basically the accurate depictions of people in the media. Whether it's The Little Mermaid. I know you guys heard about The Little Mermaid, the upcoming casting of Little Mermaid, and about Scarlett Johansson. I don't know if you guys know about the comments that she made and everything like that. But Halle Bailey is set to play Ariel in the upcoming live action Little Mermaid.
The actress from Grownish.
Is that
the
what she's
Blackish
from?
spinoff? Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't know she played
She's
in that.
also the one in that the duo, Chloe and Halle.
Yeah, Chloe. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
What's that?
It's
It's like a singing.
Yeah, singing duo.
Singing group.
Okay.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. But
last night.
yeah, after being criticized for recent castings in movies such as like Ghost in the Shell and as an Asian character, Scarlett Johansson was said that any actor should be able to play anybody in any art form in all forms should be immune to political correctness. But she did say that was taken out of context, though. Did you see that article?
I did.
Okay, yeah, she did say that was taken out of context, though. And she also declined the part as being like a transgender male in the movie that was supposed to come out. Like
Well, she was originally going to take the role.
Yeah, she
From my
really
understanding.
was.
Then
Then
she
she
stepped
stopped.
down.
Yeah, then she stopped. But
Because of the backlash, right?
yeah, because of the backlash, basically. But should these depictions in the media create a cause for concern? Do you guys think so?
Brandon, would you like to
You
start
know,
first? Yeah.
Alright. I think so especially in today's society, because everybody gets triggered over every little topic. So,
But is that causation of change?
I think it should.
Just because people are triggered?
Not just because people are triggered, but I don't think we should have a white woman per se playing a different race in a movie, because we've had so much of that back in, like, even when the first like blockbuster film came out, it had the white people playing blackface.
So, like, with that in mind, I feel like that's like a unfair comparison, because like you're saying, it's always been white people playing people who shouldn't have been black, like kings of Egypt or whatever, guys of Egypt. I ain't never seen no Egyptian person look that freaking fair skinned, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like there's such a lack of representation of black people in movies and in the media, in positive ways, I should say. So it's like, I don't think that they should stray away from letting black people portray people who are supposed to be black. But then on the flip side, I know it sounds kind of like a double standard. I don't see why, unless it really takes away from the story, I don't see why a black person couldn't play a white person. And in regards to Ariel, mermaids aren't even real. So
That's true.
it's like,
Well, yeah, it's a fictional character.
So you feel it should be not, I guess, outrage over what Scarlett Johansson did, but what Halle Bailey is doing, you should just like, it's okay.
no, I'm not saying that you should be outraged over what Scarlett Johansson did. So like with the transgender male thing, and it's like, I really feel like recently, within like the past couple years, 2018, 2019, it has been more of like an agenda to make more people trans in movies and to put more LGBTQ
to make movies more
to make it more, and I feel like that is, I feel like that has no place in an art form. I feel like in an art form you should be able to express yourself how you want to, regardless of how other people are going to take it. Because like, that's not, you don't make art so other people like it. You make art so that you can express yourself and hope that other people like it. So that's my take on it.
So you're against, I guess, flipping characters into untraditional roles just for the sake of pushing an agenda.
Yeah, just
but
for
if
the
it
sake
fits
of
the
it.
narrative, so be it.
Yeah, so like if they wanted to make the Little Mermaid, or maybe not the Little Mermaid, but if they wanted to make Winnie the Pooh and they wanted to make Winnie the Pooh trans, right? It's like, that doesn't change the story. I don't care. But like, if it was a movie about a trans person going through something trans, I mean, it'd be kind of stupid to change it to like a cisgender person, you know? And it wouldn't make sense in that case. But like, I can't think of a good example, but I know it was something I was watching, and it just it felt like they were just making the people like LGBT.
They forced it.
Yeah, like it was forced. And it was like there's nothing wrong with them being it, but it's like, what was the purpose of you making them that?
It didn't contribute to the narrative at
Yeah.
all. A lot of movies, especially these days, I feel like suffer from that. So, for example, Captain Marvel. That's one of the reasons I didn't like it, because the agenda, I felt like, overrode the narrative, and we talked about that in like another discussion. Maybe not an episode, but we definitely had a discussion. And to a lesser degree, I guess the second part of Infinity Wars, there are a few scenes, but so when I was thinking about this topic, I looked back at how often that people are portrayed in the media in inaccurate ways. So even looking back at, so my grandfather loves Westerns, really big Western fans. Do you really think the people riding those horses shooting those arrows were Native Americans? No. Very small group of them were actually natives, from my understanding. And then, like you pointed out, like blackface, so like Birth of a Nation, the original one, those are white folks in blackface. So we had that inconsistency there. And then also you see how like they portrayed them in the behaviors. That's where the watermelon comes from, KJ's favorite fruit. But so this is not a new concept at all. I'm not justifying it whatsoever.
I feel like people just want to be outraged just to be outraged because they're upset that Halle Bailey. They're really upset. They're saying that she's black, but she's not even black.
Yeah,
she's like Caribbean or something like that.
Who's saying that exactly?
Like people on the social media.
Like black people are saying that? Or
not black people.
Just
like
everybody.
I just been seeing
people who are upset about it.
Yeah, people are upset about it. They're saying they shouldn't have a black girl playing, but she's not even black. So
personally, I do like logical consistency. So if like a comic book character is in a movie, I would like them to be as close as the depiction. But I do understand at the same time they are a fictional character.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of looseness to it. But just for my personal image, I like consistency. So if the character in the comic book, for example, like I said, is like if Black Panther is black in the comic book, I would have been a little bit confused if I saw somebody from the mountains of Caucasus playing him.
I could be wrong though. Little Mermaid is a comic book. It's just an animated movie.
I understand that. I was saying, well, it falls in the same domain as fictional content.
Was it based off a fairy tale? Because a
I don't
lot
know.
of Disney movies are, based off fairy tales.
I'm not completely sure.
I'd be curious to know if that was the
It
case.
doesn't even matter because, like, again, mermaids don't exist, and like her being white, black, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't change the story any. So.
And so the funny thing about this, a good friend of mine, Derek, the guy who actually made the song for us in the intro, shout out to Derek. So he actually made a post on Facebook and he was saying, is it me or am I the only person not seeing any of these outraged people about the Little Mermaid? Because I thought about it. The people that I was personally friends with, I never saw on social media. I didn't see anyone outraged, anyone voicing any kind of dissatisfaction over Halle Bailey being cast in The Little Mermaid. However, I did see people making the meme saying white people would be like something when Halle Bailey got that role.
It was supposed to be like a whole hashtag though, saying people was like not my Ariel and everything like that.
Yeah,
I didn't see as much as that. Like on a personal level.
On your timeline?
Not on my timeline. So a lot of the
that's all.
a lot of the back. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I feel like as with this topic too, as with everything, a lot of these the vocal minority are the people that are making the most noise, and those are the ones that people mostly react to. Because I didn't see any of that.
That's probably just based off the, like we said, the people you follow.
Well, of course, they had an effect to it. But even the people you did see, I could say the minority people were upset about that. Because if you're upset with a fictional character being cast, not only it's going to be a live action film.
Yeah,
So it's live action. Okay, so that's a little different. I was thinking it was just going to be like a voice actor for a cartoon. Because if you're pissed about someone's voice, you thought it was
going to be
yeah. It's one thing to be upset about the actor. It's still ridiculous, but the voice.
A black guy played Kratos, and nobody even noticed. To be honest with you,
so I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the movie.
Kratos, the
video game.
I understand that, but I thought they had a movie maybe too.
For God of War.
Yeah.
Like he was a voice actor.
Yeah,
I know that.
So I thought you were saying they had a movie that went along with it afterwards.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
But
God of War.
also, Robert Downey Jr. in Tropical Thunder.
But see, they couldn't do a movie like that today.
Well, that was different too. At the same time, he was actually fearing for his career when it happened. Do you remember that?
No,
I don't remember the specifics.
So
why is that movie okay? If that's what you're saying.
Well, he explained it. So he was saying that movie was a satire in itself. So he was playing a white actor who was doing blackface, and what they ended up doing was their sergeant, which was him. They ended up getting kidnapped by a drug dealer, and so the actor is playing a soldier. They had to rescue him. So he was doing that role in itself was a commentary on the traditional history of white people playing blackface and being over exaggerated. So he was doing some comedy on that in itself, not exactly to be disrespectful or doing blackface just for the sake of doing it.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it was like just part of the narrative and some commentary.
How when Tarantino drops these movies, he just puts in as many M-bombs as he can. Just nigga here, nigga there.
But when white people see black people being cast in these like roles that white people are in, don't you feel that these roles are technically part of their white culture, and they feel that in some way black people are kind of culturally appropriating their culture by putting these dark-skinned girls into these roles? Basically,
this is the same thing as the traditional depiction of the white Jesus. Because how many even black churches I've seen with white Jesus? Yeah. So it's kind of like the opposite of that. Now the shoe's on the other foot. And it comes down to a lot of times. So people fail to realize too. So what if Halle Bailey? What if she was cast not to further some agenda which they may be in fear of, but what if she was just the best actor for that role?
Right.
What is the issue there? That's how I feel. I would like my movie to be decided by the best actor for the role. Somebody who fits the description the most accurately. If I'm looking for someone who fits a certain demographic, okay, that might be true in some cases.
I'm glad you asked that, because I want to ask this. So if Russell Crowe came in and gave a better audition than Denzel Washington did for Malcolm X, should he be cast as?
Well, that's different.
Malcolm?
See, I think
No. Choosing.
Come on, man. Listen.
That's a good point.
That's right. So
You said actor for the role.
Listen, I understand that, but so when you have a role, on the casting call, they have a specific demographic they're looking for sometimes. But when it comes to the realm of fictional characters, you have a little more flexibility versus to be more historically accurate, you have rigidity. So you are saying you said Malcolm X, right?
X.
Malcolm X is a historical figure. So I feel that is different than you saying you want to portray Superman and have him be as a black character, because you could do anything in a fictional realm. But Malcolm X was black.
I was going by your point. You said the best actor for the role. I was Russell Crowe came in and gave him.
I get what you're saying, but like you said, Malcolm X a real person.
I know what you mean.
I got you.
It's a good question because for some people that's not as evident.
Because I've seen that point, like on a Facebook post. It's like, what if we did that for Martin Luther King, made him a white man? It's like, well, he's a real actual human being, not a.
We can look at pictures. We can look at pictures and see
taking our roles and putting them as white people. Like, we don't always get represented how we should be represented in the media.
And look at this too. Also, so
I have another example. Book you on.
So movies, they are designed for a creative process.
Mm-hmm.
They are used to express things and tell stories. So you can make your own stories. Like if you want to have a white mermaid, you can make your own story and have a white mermaid. You can have that. No one's stopping you from creating your own thing. Just because somebody else like creates something new and you don't like it, it's not stopping you from creating your own space and making your own impact.
The other example I had, I don't know if you guys saw like the recent Fantastic Four movie that was like basically a complete bomb.
With the black Human Torch.
With Michael B. Jordan
as the Human Torch.
Yeah.
Is that, you put that in the same realm?
Well, see,
I know he's a comic book character.
It really upset me.
It really upset you?
Because how is he going to be Killmonger in the Human Torch?
Okay, well, the first Human Torch is Captain America and the Human Torch.
That upset me equally.
Oh, okay.
That upset you?
But they're separate, though, right? Like they don't have the same.
He's bugging. They're not even the same. He's just bugging. But
it just bothers me.
But as far what did the casting do to you though?
What did the casting?
Yeah, did you like the casting? Did you think?
I didn't watch the Fantastic Four movie. I just knew about it because I don't like the Fantastic Four myself.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't tell you about like how I felt about the actual portrayal and how he did in his role, Michael B. Jordan, because I didn't watch it. But I would be curious to see what you had to say about that.
The actual movie?
Yeah, you watched it.
Barely.
So what were you saying about Captain Marvel though?
Captain Marvel?
Mm-hmm. What didn't you?
He said they were trying to push the agenda, but I was going to ask you that too. Like, what do you mean push the agenda?
Was she in a comic book before?
Yeah, Captain Marvel was like
she was in a comic book.
That's not what I'm aware of that. That's not what I was saying.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was. But just so the overarching theme, they put so much emphasis on like feminism, which is okay. I understand. Like it's anybody within the right state of mind can agree that women deserve equal rights as everyone else. But I just feel like within that movie, like certain things were changed just to fit that narrative, to make it like it was almost like propaganda. For example, so you have Marvel, who was her mentor, the person who she got the powers from initially. In the comic book, if I recall correctly, wasn't he a man?
Are you talking about where he got the? Yeah.
And just certain other moments like that. And then so she had during like the ending scenes of the fight, it was like a highlight reel where she went back in time in her mind. She was thinking about all the times that she had been told that she couldn't do things because she was a woman. And I feel like between all of that, the movie itself suffered, not just because of that, but I feel like it wasn't enough attention put on the narrative. And had it been executed properly and it contributed to the story, I would have been perfectly fine with it. But I feel like not enough care was put towards that.
Did you know that movie sold over $1 billion?
So what do you? I'm not talking about how much money it made.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know people out there might not feel the same as you.
But I just didn't like it.
What would you have done to make it Sell better. Be better properly.
Be more manly.
Be that's what it sounds. Of course, that's the easiest. Everyone in there would be men. Yeah, right.
I ain't saying it, but
what would I have done better? I would have put more focus on the storytelling, and then also I felt like the antagonist, because a lot of times like the dynamic between the hero and the villain, they make or break the movie. So I would have had the main villain be someone that had more of a more reputation, because she was a new character. She was just introduced in the MCU, and for Captain Marvel, she was like, she's one of the most powerful characters out there, and that movie didn't do her any justice by proving that, because it wasn't until the end when she was able to harness the fact that she could shoot light beams out of her hands, and they never actually talked about what her actual powers were. It was just like she was just finally like, oh, I can fly, I can do this, I can do that. So it was never any the character development was lacking.
Well, in movies it's harder to do that. You got a shorter time.
You have a whole script though.
Dude, you got a TV
look
show.
at Marvel. They have an entire a universe of continuity. They've been telling stories for how long?
Yeah.
So they know how to do these things. They've demonstrated on a number of occasions that they can tell stories.
And majority of those people do got more than one movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that still boils down on Marvel. They dropped the ball.
Movies just to put that.
And if you know that you just have one small movie, if you're just doing that one isolated movie before you do your conglomeration one which was the Endgame, like the Infinity Wars, then why not take that time and carefully, if you're working on a shortened time schedule, you should make the most of it. And I don't feel like that was done.
I got you.
Like I expected her from the depiction of the comic book, I expected her to come in and blow Thanos' head off. That's how strong she should have been.
Somebody liked the movie.
It wasn't me though.
But as far as these roles, though, you kind of avoided it, Brian. But as far as these roles, like the Fantastic Four, isn't these part of the white culture? So you say Halle Berry isn't really even black, but people will see a dark skinned person and call him black, and no matter if you black, they'll call Brian black, even though he's lighter than me.
Yeah,
right?
well, they've always thought that my mom was white.
How light is your mom?
She's like the same color as me, which is funny because when people, so my mom's not white, she's just light like me, but so it's funny how when people think that people are mixed or people are mixed, they always assume it's the mother. What'd you do?
What?
I saw you do something. Anyway,
Okay.
So people always assume it's the mother that's white. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I'm not.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, people like. So even with some discussions that I've had in like different social groups that I've been in, and we find like somebody was talking about their mixed heritage, and they always assume that the father's the black one, and it's always the mom who's either the Asian or the white or the Hispanic.
I've done that myself.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
It's something that's just assumed. So it's something that's underlying that makes people think that. But so your question about
is it right? Is it technically like something like a Little Mermaid? Isn't technically isn't it technically part of white people's culture?
Right. So
shit is because you guys say it's okay. I mean, but is it right? Because
so look,
I feel that's probably how white people feel. I mean, that's part of our culture. I mean, why should be?
Why is that their culture? It's just fan fiction. It's a story. Why is that part of their? It's not even linked to their culture in any kind of way. It's just somebody who happened to draw a white character was like, I'm making this character now. And so I don't see why that character couldn't have been black. The character couldn't have been Hispanic. And if you were to change it, it doesn't change the story any. So even if it was part of white culture, if you made the main hero white, it's not mean you made the main hero Asian per se. It's not going to change the story and change the culture in any kind of way.
And also look at this. So
I feel like you're going over basic because white people. I forget. I keep killing.
The X-Men, when they were originally created by Stan Lee, they were done as almost a social commentary about the treatment of blacks in the civil rights movement and people who were traditionally on the outskirts of society in terms of being excluded or discriminated against. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So that's part of Marvel. So Marvel is just saying that Marvel is strictly itself part of white culture, I have to disagree with.
Okay.
For the sake of, I guess they were extremely progressive in that time in the things that they talked about, especially like the X-Men animated series itself. It tackled a lot of serious issues, and even though it wasn't as like black and white per se, like you could clearly see the depictions versus like the mutants, and they were being persecuted by the humans, and you can deduce from that what you made. It was entertaining, it was great, and it wasn't overly preachy. That's why it was so awesome.
Gotcha. But yeah, if she's the best actor for the job, then it is what it is.
And she fits the casting call.
Yes. Yes, she fits the cast call. But with me, first of all, I mean, I didn't even want a little live action Little Mermaid.
What's with the obsession with live action films?
I don't know. I didn't even want a live action Lion King, to be honest.
I don't
know.
know the obsession of remaking movies instead of making new ones.
Yeah, we just leave them in the past, you know.
Yeah, I feel. I feel that's the thing though. I feel we have enough African American filmmakers or African American writers and stuff like that to create their own world or create their own world with black people in it. And something like Black Panther, that was created. But I feel we have enough to actually create our own world and not have to actually cast as a Little Mermaid or anything like that. Because even if they do feel like that, because it's going to be outrage. But if she's the best actor for the job, she's the best actor for the job though. But
because wasn't it you and I who had that conversation about how people reacted to the Black Panther and how they act like Chadwick Boseman was the second coming of Jesus Christ?
We did.
It might have not been you.
What happened now?
But they were making it out to be. I think it was a conversation I had with Jay that was on here last week. Oh. So about how people were acting like this was some like big moment in, I guess, black culture.
Oh,
which
okay.
Of course it was our first like large scale movie with a main black actor. But it was done as part of, that's just who the character was. And they beautifully depicted it. It was awesome. I loved the Black Panther movie. But it wasn't something per se, like, it wasn't the modern civil rights movement at all.
Right.
But people were lined up outside of movie theaters out of Cinemas 8. Isn't that called Cinema 8?
It was like Malcolm X.
Yeah, they were, exactly. They were outside there like it was the Million Man March or with the dice sheet and
stuff on like that.
It was something you didn't see though.
Yeah, it was.
Something you haven't seen.
It wasn't, but it wasn't the same as like a civil rights movement per se either.
Yeah, I got you. What you talking about? Impactful? You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I enjoyed the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. As far as like even the movie Little Mermaid, I thought they was better off remaking making a live action Princess and the Frog or something like that if they really wanted to have a black lead and make a diverse, because you can still have a diverse cast with Princess and the Frog.
Was she originally black?
Princess and the Frog.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Talking about the animated movie.
Yeah.
She's black.
Okay.
Now isn't Princess and the Frog? Isn't that an old tale? That's not like something that just came out, right?
Yeah.
And with the whole thing coming up with the Ariel thing with her being black, I saw one. It was like, oh, y'all have. It was a black person defending it. It was like, y'all have 70-some princesses or whatever. This is our first black princess. And granted, one princess, that's not a lot, right? But I personally don't like how they just like completely threw Princess, what is it, Tiana?
Yeah.
I don't like how they just like threw her under the bus like that and were just like, oh, she doesn't count, you know? And it's like, I don't know.
Why didn't she count?
No, that's what they were saying. They were saying like, this would be our first princess that would be black. Talking about.
So you were saying that they didn't disqualify. They didn't say she wasn't our first. They were just completely forgetting her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we've had black superheroes before,
Jasmine,
but not as big as Black Panther.
Like who? Like of course I know a few.
Which
ones do you know about?
I don't really watch.
I mean, that's like the question. Was black?
So I ain't gonna comment on that.
I was about to ask that.
Oh, you just know that we have.
He said he's not black. She's Green Lantern. It's black.
I mean, yeah, it's black, but like people be distinguishing the difference between that.
Yeah, but
she got melanin.
Yeah.
John Stewart was my favorite Green Lantern.
Huh?
John Stewart was my favorite Green Lantern.
Yeah, you talking about John Stewart?
The brother. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
In the Justice League
show host. Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, the Justice. Well, not the Justice League animated series with the Black Green Lantern.
Oh, okay.
He was my favorite one.
See, I never.
Not because he was black. I just thought he was just a badass character.
But I asked him about Jasmine. If she wasn't black, he was like Middle Eastern. It was like, but he said Caribbean. It was like, it was black, kind of black still.
It's still.
I mean, she fits the description, right?
Yeah. Is she black in the live action movie?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, but is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as this topic?
She's a fish.
Do you feel like actors should be able to play anything? Like, because Scarlett Johansson, I believe the exact quote was she should be able to play any person, any animal, any tree. So she was doing that to be.
She said because this is her job.
Hyperbole. Yeah.
She said because that's my job.
I mean, they can, but we got so much like technology that we can play animated stuff like a tree or something like that. So there's no need for
like Avatar. The entire world was CGI just about.
Yeah. So there's no need for something like that. But if she wanted to, I don't think we should stop her from doing that.
Yeah.
Or people should be outraged that she want to be a tree. I don't think that happens.
I don't think the issue is this.
I know that. I'm just saying. But like
other trees would be like, oh god, nah, you're not walking.
She said that she was a cedar. That's a birch.
She ain't a bill, nah.
But I think the backlash is too much for like her trying to be a trans person. So
I didn't know exactly how much backlash it was.
Yeah. I think it was enough for her to
stop
back out.
True. Stop. No, I want no.
It was enough to be on her radar.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, because you technically stopping checks. That's
right.
You're getting paid. So you stop me. That's like quitting your job and going to another job. But yeah, that's something I wanted to ask you guys. But the next question I want to ask you guys is, do you shape your own destiny, or does it happen by God's plan? So I don't know. What do you guys think about this question? I feel you looking at KJ because you somehow want him.
No, I'm kind of back and forth between, because you took the first question first.
That's fine. I mean, it don't matter.
I think it's a mixture. So I definitely think that you're born with a certain set of skills, whether it be from God or if you believe in God, or if it's just what you're born with. But at the same time, I think you have to put that work in, because nothing's going to be handed to you. You could be the best basketball player in the world. You don't get out on the court, you ain't never going to make it. So I definitely think, I definitely don't think it's just destiny. I do think destiny does play a part in it, but it's still, you have to go out and put that work in, you know.
So are you saying God does have some type of plan? Are you saying that, like,
Or you arguing free will?
I'm arguing free will, yeah. So, because like you can have all the tools necessary for a job. If you don't go and do the job's never going to get done.
Oh, because you said a little bit of both, so I thought you was talking about, but I got you. Okay.
My turn.
Yeah.
I think we all shape our own destiny, because for one thing, you can't just have God do for one person what He can't do for another. So, but I do believe that we shape our own destiny, for mainly because He gave us free will, and if He wanted us to be, minions or something like that, we wouldn't have free will.
So what do you think people actually talk about when they like, oh, this is by God's plan, this isn't mine? Like, what do you guys think?
So the question of free will versus God's plan, it boils down to whether or not you subscribe to any monotheistic ideology or religion or even just multiple gods. Whether you consider yourself religious or not, it boils down to free will versus determinism. Is there a predestined end point, start point, or are any of the points in your life, are they set forth in motion and we are forced to, or not necessarily forced to, but we're just destined to go to that path?
When you kind of say God's plan like diminishes the work that people put in,
wait, some time.
When you say just being in God's plan diminish the work that people put in, it's like he was saying, you can be the best basketball player, but if you don't put in the work, so when people just say it's God's plan, that's kind of diminishing what you do.
Yeah,
your success.
I kind of think of it. I always looked at it as people. Okay, first with me, I believe we are God. Basically, I feel we basically created God in His image to get through life and basically get comfortable through life. Not saying that there's not actual God, but what we subscribe to, what we think is God, is basically us. And that's why what you were just saying, I feel we don't know what we say because we try to praise someone else. We're humble because we don't know what we have at the same time, but then we're arrogant because we're at the same time we're praising ourselves because we're basically trying to uplift ourselves. That's what I feel. But I say that we're God because I feel we create miracles. So simple things like, back in the day, you would never thought that we would be flying in airplanes right now. I think that is a miracle in itself, to be honest with you. Like, people are God because people can destroy the planet. God can destroy the planet. We've been destroying the planet through global warming and everything like that. People can create the planet. We've been talking about going to Mars and probably like the next decade. Yeah, in the next decade, talking about actually making cities on Mars and everything like that. So we can we can take lives. We take people's lives, and we also can bring people into life through reproduction. So I feel we are God in that way, and we impact everybody around us, and that's why we are God. No matter for future generations or anything like that, we impact because we are God. That's just how I feel.
So what does the devil fit in that situation?
I feel devil is just people. It's something that people created. Just
are people not the devil too?
Yeah, people can be the devil too. I mean,
if you're using that metaphor.
Yeah, people can definitely be the devil. Yeah. What?
That's really interesting take. This is the first time. So I've been trying to get that answer out of you, like where you stand on that. But this is the first time that Josh has ever spoken on that. It is.
But yeah, you just don't understand the amount of things that we do. Like the fact that we can that a woman can bring a child into the world. That's a miracle in itself. And you got to think about the small things. Like a lot of the stuff that we've created in life. That's a big deal. The fact that I'm scared to go. I'm not really scared to go on planes, but I'm just like on a plane. I'm just like, wow, a human created this, and I'm kind of in the hands of a human right now.
Like, how in the hell does this take me from here to Atlanta?
Yeah, that's wild. I feel that's so wild, and it's really the little things that we don't look at, and that's why I feel that we are God in a way. You know what I mean? Not to saying that there's not a God up there looking over us, but if some people are like, if a mass shooting happened, it was like, oh, pray for whatever, God probably like. Listen, y'all made that dumb constitutional law. I ain't got nothing to do with that. You be good. But that's how I feel we are God, because we impact each other. We praying won't do anything. We have to change the laws because we're in charge of it. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel.
Well, see, both of you brought up an interesting point too about the fact of human achievement, how I guess the idea of God's plan diminishes that. But I do think there is a large part of that goes into contributing to humility, because if you think that everything is by your design, because certain things do happen that are out of our control that happen to be in our favor. So that does help people to keep that in mind. So whether you subscribe to, I guess, any faith or not, there is a definite utility to adopting a belief system and adhering to it. Not saying you can't do it without, but it's so much easier, and there's definitely a use for it. But so another argument too is, so when it comes to free will, do we really have free will? So Sam Harris, are you familiar with him? Any of you guys heard of him?
Yes.
So Sam Harris he doesn't necessarily believe, which one?
The loss of faith, like loss of faith or something like that.
Okay. I'm about to get some of his ebooks,
okay.
But I've just listened to his interviews.
It's like loss of faith or something like that. It had to do with how he felt after September 11th and how he felt about like Muslims and everything.
Right.
So,
right. I've heard about that.
But keep going with your.
So Sam Harris is pretty brilliant, and so he's against the idea of free will because he said everything that we do, we are shaped by, I guess even the neurochemistry of your brain, your experiences, a lot of your predispositions are due to like your genetics, like your family, your upbringing. So we're shaped in that way. So he's saying we're just reacting based upon input that we're provided over time. And even then I have to disagree with that because for one, even though we have input, we still function against it. So your body can send a chemical signal to your brain and tell you that you're hungry. Doesn't mean that you eat. I've done that before. If I need to get something knocked out, I just prioritize it higher. I was acting against those natural urges.
But in the end, it's still your brain telling you what to do. No matter how you look at it, it's always going to be your body reacting to something going on in your brain, which is reacting to something else. And so when you say that about free will, I don't, in the more general sense of the term, I don't think that there is free will. Because if you go down to like a cellular level, right, our cells are alive, right? But nothing in the cells are alive. So how can you say that there's free will when you breathe and you do respiration inside your cells, right? But you have no control over that, right? It just happens to be that there's more oxygen on the outside, less on the inside, and it goes through osmosis, right? You have no control over that. It's just something that happens because a certain set of conditions were met, and then what do you call it?
Stimulus?
No. An action was carried out. So this is what I was talking to you about with the code. What if we were like just a very, very, very advanced code, right? Because all the things that are happening is when this situation, when these conditions are met, carry out this action. And that's all that happens in the human body, right? So even though we can sit here and we can think and we can like have philosophical discussions, we can go out, we can cook something, we can, like you say, we can make planes and all this shit. It all comes down to none of this would happen if these non-living things, these non-living factors weren't happening around us. And like who'd you say his name was? Sam
Harris.
Yeah, Sam Harris. And you say he was talking about like the neurons in your brain and stuff. You have no control over that. And it is like your environment does like have an effect on it. So in a sense, we're just like products of the environment around us.
See, I disagree with that. So we are shaped. So I look at it this way. So the experiences we have, they shape us a little bit, and they give us tools. So think about it. You as a child, you're born And according to, I guess, your genetics, you might have a few tools in your toolbox. But as you go through life, you experience different things. You become more specialized. So you might be designed to, your toolbox per se might be best suited for aviation and fixing problems on a plane, while mine might be one just best suited for plumbing issues. So those are the tool sets that I have. And just because we have predispositions, it does not equate to predestination. So there is still some element of choice. Just because you have, like, you might be more likely to do one thing or the other, you still have the final say in it.
Yeah, but did you actually say it, or were you influenced to make that choice? It's like the real question it boils down to. And you can say that you wanted to make that choice, but until we have like a better understanding of what is like the human spirit and what is consciousness, you can't say that we're the ones making the choice.
Consciousness, I equate that to self-awareness. So you look at, for example, another argument that I have against the absence of free will is because, so Sam Harris, he said that we are, like, our synapses and the connections in our brains, like, we're constantly responding to chemical signals based upon outside stimuli and all that, which is true. But at the same time, you can't deny the fact that we have the ability to be self-aware. We know, for example, someone with depression or another illness. So you can do things to change your neurochemistry, your mental state. For example, Desmond was really big on, he said when he was going through his counseling, he had trained himself. The counselor advised him to, when he went to the bathroom, to smile in the mirror. He would laugh because he thought he had look crazy. But he was doing these small behaviors, these micro behaviors that contributed to the reshaping of his neurons and his way of thinking, and just increases. So he was able to change his mental state. So ultimately, he had control over the state of his mind. So that in itself is enough to equate free will for me, because he controlled his mind, not the other way around.
Okay, so then how do you feel about Pavlov conditioning then?
Pavlov's conditioning.
Mm-hmm. Because you can train.
So
you could train in theory anybody to do anything.
You could. So you tried to do it to one of your classmates, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Ring a bell.
So with that, it showed. So I'm not gonna say that there's absolutely no free will, because it doesn't make sense to say that there's no free will. But just looking at it from a purely scientific point of view, it doesn't make sense to say that we do have free will. So it's like
it does.
Boy, why do you say that exactly?
Because like I said, right, we don't have control over our cellular processes that go on about. We have zero control over that. We can tell ourselves that we're going to stop breathing, right? But at the end, we're gonna pass out, and they're gonna take over, and we're gonna start breathing again, right? And we can do a lot of things to ourselves, but at the most basic level, we don't control our neurons like firing off. We can think to do it, but at the end, we're not looking at every individual neuron saying do this, do this, do this, do that, right? Like you said, we were talking about the percentage of the brain that you have unlocked, right? And people like to say this: you got 10% of your brain unlocked, right?
Loose.
And it's not so much that it's that a lot of stuff is self-automated, right? So it's like we just straight up don't have control. So how can we say that we have free will when we don't even have control over our whole body?
It's funny. It seems like he's arguing.
No, we're arguing the same way. We're arriving at the same point. We have different paths of getting there. Mm-hmm. There's a divergence. And then even with that, I still disagree. So, for example, the presence of constraints. Yeah, we are constrained in some ways. But you look at, let's look at the metaphor of life as a game. There are rules to any game. So let's say Sims. There are certain things you can and can't do inside that game, right? But through that, there's so many other possibilities. So you still have free will. Of course, you have to have your biological needs met. You have to go through respiration. You have to eat. You have to get sleep. You have to breathe. Your cells have to do these automated processes. But after that, you can do just about anything. You can create a plane. You can terraform Mars if you want to.
But I'll tell you one thing that everybody tries to do, almost everybody tries to do, that's not necessary. If we stop doing it, it would not harm anybody, and that's getting a nut. No one needs to get a nut, but yet everybody wants to get a nut. Why?
I beg to differ.
Wait, what are you talking about?
So who is it? What is it that makes almost every what makes every organism want to reproduce? Because nothing would harm you. Would have no harm if you stop reproducing. If you stop sexually reproducing, that would not harm you in any way. So why is it so ingrained into our DNA, into our brains? I need to go out and get this nut off. I need to go impregnate somebody. I need to continue my lineage, right?
Great.
So that's nothing on us. That's in us. That's instinct, right? And there's a lot of instincts that animals. Like, okay.
Hold on, you're gonna hate yourself now.
A woodpecker. What tells a woodpecker to peck into the wood? They just know to do that.
That's where his food's at.
Yeah, right? Okay.
What makes you go to the fridge?
What makes a hunter shoot a deer?
Food. So
yeah, but they could get food other ways though. What makes
they're best suited for that?
Yeah, right. But they instinctively know to do that without, like a mole, right? If you took a mole and you had to get born in a laboratory setting, right? And you didn't keep it around any other moles, and you put it in the dirt, that motherfucker's gonna start digging.
That's
Why?
just instinct. I told you we do have certain predispositions, but you have a choice. The mole decides where it wants to go, whether it's looking for food or whether it's looking for water. You have choice in that. And then so you talked about the very interesting point you brought up was procreation. So
Yes,
from an evolutionary standpoint, what?
That's procreation.
Or getting a nut. Because you can get a nut and not procreate. I mean, how many kids y'all got? But so the idea of procreation is, from an evolutionary standpoint, I believe is more advantageous for us to have people. So you look at a family unit. If you have somebody who shares a genetic code and you guys work as a team, because a family unit is by design supposed to be a cohesive unit and to cooperate. You're out here with other individuals. Who's going to do better? You looking for food by yourself and trying to survive, or me with my family of 4 and we have different roles. We're suited and we can all collaborate and find resources more effectively. We can share because you can. So it's the old principle back in shop class we talked about how a 2x4 has maybe a certain carrying capacity of, let's say, 100 pounds for lack of better terms, or I don't know the exact math for it, but so it carries 100 pounds before it can snap at the center. So, but 2 2x4s, you nail them together. The carrying load for the 2x4s is now like exponentially increased. Let's say 5 times as much. I don't know the exact number again, but I know that 2 boards are definitely stronger than 1. Mm-hmm. Same thing with rope. The way you twist them together, if you were to unravel it, each individual fiber is much weaker than the amalgamation of them all. So that's what the utility of having a family unit, and it's more advantageous to have a team behind you. Because if we're having a one-on-one fight, and then I know where you just snap your fingers and 5 of your goons come out after, like you have the leg up, you're gonna win.
Okay, but then that begs the question: why do we want to survive? Life could have spawned in, and we just had no kind of.
We are here.
Yeah, I'm saying though, right?
We don't have any choice of that.
So when exactly, we don't have choice.
Through constraints. I'm not saying that we don't have certain things are in place. Like you said, the cellular level. I acknowledge that, and the fact that we're created here. I didn't tell my parents to make me, but I am here. Mm-hmm. But that is one of the preconditions of life. Like I said, how it's a game. Every game has rules that you have when you start off with. You don't get to decide that, but within those constraints, you can do anything.
Yeah, but look at, okay, let's talk about games. I'm just gonna say Minecraft. That's the first thing I was thinking about. Minecraft, you're supposed to go out and you're supposed to build your world up, but you don't have to. You can go on I'm gonna do Skyrim because I'm much better versed with Skyrim.
Not what
so Skyrim, you're supposed to go out and find Alduin, right, and beat him and do your Dragonborn stuff, right? But you don't have to, right?
You don't.
But in life, it seems that you're always geared towards. It's like, with the rare exception, you don't find organisms that say, "Oh no, I'm just not going to reproduce. I'm just going to choose to abstain from reproduction." Right? It's just ingrained in them to do it. Whereas with other things, it's ingrained in you, but it's like you still have a choice per se, right? You still can make the decisions like, oh, I'm not going to do this. Like animals can stop breathing if they want to, but you take a colony of ants, you're not going to get the queen to stop laying eggs unless something's wrong with her. Or you get rabbits, they're gonna.
So back to procreation.
It seems like you're arguing that there is some type of plan through an unconditioned reflex within organisms.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Well, that's just our instincts, and like I said, that's the precondition of survival, of existence.
Like I think he has a little point though.
You do, but humans are humans because we are a certain way. And also, you even look at your Skyrim example. What was the objective?
Do anything you want.
No, there was 2 things you said.
Be the Dragonborn.
You could,
and go kill Alduin.
You could, but what's the precondition for to do that in Skyrim? You have to have a copy, right? You have to have created a character. Mm-hmm. You can't do either of those without doing it. Those are preconditions. Those are rules. But within that, what do you have? What do you have?
A bunch of freedom.
You have free will.
But okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So
I think we kind of got away from
The real actual.
Yeah. So we
No, we was on it. What you mean?
no.
There's still free will.
Well, it was free will versus predestination because we abstracted the layer of God's plan from it.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
God's plan.
Because so implying that God's plan is the determining factor, like there is a specific endpoint, and I was thinking about what are the implications of that. So that means to me that certain people's lives are just better than others because you can't argue that because so let's say somebody dies and they've had a happy life and been a millionaire, but somebody else dies homeless and hungry on the street. So why is it fair for somebody to live that life if they're just randomly assigned that? Like how is that decided? Who gets to say who gets to get which quality of life?
But who gets to say that life should be fair?
Life is fair because it's unfair to everyone, but at the same time, certain people's lives are more successful in different avenues. Like the value of a life is completely subjective, of course, but certain things you just can't argue. Like if you're starving and cold, your life is probably not going as well as you would like for it to be as somebody who has
blessed as someone on with a new car on Instagram showing it off.
Right.
But I'm saying, who's to say that everyone should have equatable success? Everyone should be doing the same.
Well, I'm not arguing that. That's what I'm saying. That's what free will factors in.
I'm sorry. That's just me.
No, I'm arguing free
We're all
will.
born equal though. So
I have to disagree
And
with
also, well, let me look this up. Real
if
quick.
you
Should be born.
if you're going with people like that, born with diseases and stuff like that, that's different, obviously.
like people are dealt different hands through randomness.
Some people not always born with the same amount of cards in their hand.
Yeah.
What you looking
Some
at?
people don't even.
It's a
get
scripture.
to
So,
have
somebody
that
don't even get no cards.
so guys, I'm about to look this up. But it's a scripture I recall when I grew up attending a Baptist church, and there was a scripture I recall. I want to make sure that I have it exactly. It was saying that God already knew who was going to heaven and who was going to hell, and
That's how the Jehovah's Witnesses do. They say it's only like over. It's less than.
144,000.
It's 144,000 people only getting into heaven.
right.
That's
So
kinda specific.
if that's the predestination aspect of it, what's the point of everyone else trying? Like this was me as a young child, maybe between like the ages like 7 and 11. So I was very young, and this was like
hold on, to
scary.
compare that, you don't get to choose if you go to heaven as soon as you die. It's supposed to be like Judgment Day.
Yeah,
So when that happens, that's when
You said as a child,
You
you
see-
scared about that?
yeah. Like
It's different between different denominations, though.
That is true.
there is. So I don't know how much you've read into the biblical literature, like whether you just skim verse or you just know like Psalms or just casual ones. But there's some scary stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like just the stuff that, for example, God, he seemed to be way more forgiving in the New Testament, because in the Old Testament he wiped nations out. There was the flood. You like to talk about the sacrificial example where he told, I can't recall the guy's name, but he sent him to the top of the mountain to sacrifice his son, even though he was just testing his faith.
We was talking about that.
But there were just certain things that went on there, and it was some really scary stuff. Like especially reading like the Book of Revelations, and it's talking about the beast and the dragons and like the end days, and it's some stuff in there that could really disturb a child.
Well, so like at the Revelation part, at least that's coming after he's like saying, you've had your chance, and so now this is what you're going to get now that you've missed it. But like speaking on the Old Testament, yeah, God was. I mean, he said it. He said, "I'm an angry God. I'm a jealous
Selfish,
God,
yeah.
and I'm a selfish God." Right? He would tell people. He would tell his followers to go and not just kill the people they're warring with, but kill the animals, salt the earth, kill the wives and children.
Scorched earth policy.
Yeah, kill everybody just because they weren't following God. So it is scary when you look at it like that. But then at the same time, it's supposed to be saying, hey, this is a warning to you. So if you do all these things that I'm telling you to do, you won't even have to worry about that. So I think it's kind of a tough love way of trying to show like to set somebody on the right path,
Well, even in that, what you just said about him being a jealous God, so it's saying that there should be no other idol before him. That's one of the commandments. So even within that, I believe that there is an element of free will. So you have to argue how much, because is it truly like did God plan you to be here at this exact moment, for this moment to happen, for this to happen, for you to lose this? For you to lose your keys, for you to be late for work, for your girlfriend to break up for you to get a promotion at work? All of these events, these points on your linear timeline of life, Were they all predestined or planned out? Or is it just like you have a starting point and then you have like an end point that's predestined? You always were set to go here, or even another variation, or is there just complete free will where there's a goal set forth for us, but we don't have to adhere to it, and we can work to that?
That's what I believe, because going back to what you said about predestination, God knowing who's going to go to heaven and who's going to go to hell before they get there. If God is truly as a benevolent God as they say he is, as he says he is, it wouldn't make sense for him to just be like, oh, you have no chance at this life whatsoever. You're just going straight to hell to be tortured forever. That's not something a kind or benevolent person would do. If I'm a kind person, I'm not going to have a kid and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to love my kid. But by the time you turn 23, I'm going to kill you.
Or have 5 and say, I'm going to love one of you.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So I definitely feel like there is like a grand scheme, but I definitely feel like he sets you on the right path. He has a path set out, and then it's like you can choose to follow it whether you want to or not. So
I think.
So is it still God's plan if someone get hit in a car accident and die? Or
see, I really had questioned a lot of that too,
something like that.
Because I remember last summer, when there was the family that was on the riverboat accident, when they went out on the water and there was a storm in Mississippi, I believe it was either Mississippi or Alabama, but 9 members of one family died, like 4 of them were children. So I don't believe that those 4 kids, that family, they were set out that day to die. I have trouble coming to grasp with the fact that a child was predestined to just to lose a life.
Basically, it's no meaning within that. Basically,
like just so some people said that maybe it was to change the conditions or to make some people die as martyrs to be a catalyst for change. So you change.
What about the people that don't
just die.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So like even if that like you had to sacrifice like for 9 lives to be sacrificed for better safety regulations for the riverboat conditions and. Because I think the driver, they knew about the storm and they weren't supposed to be out there, but they still went along with the trip. So that's an idea I really wrestled with, and I really was really distraught about the idea of, I was going through somewhat of an existential crisis and trying to find these answers. And that was something that question itself, something I really struggled with, because a friend of mine, me and her were having this discussion, she had an answer. Well, she asked that question to me because we were sitting down having lunch and at this restaurant, and the TV was sitting across from us. And we just talked about like exploring religion and the meaning of life, and she said, "So how do we explain things like that?" And I didn't have an answer. No one could answer that for me.
And that was what you saw the accident.
That was when I saw the accident. Well, of course I'd seen it a few days before, but it just happened to be on the TV the exact moment we were together.
When I was younger, they always said like storms and stuff were God. He was angry. Or God was. It was like his work. How can you justify that?
But see, that sounds strangely familiar to like the Native Americans and then like the ancient Egyptians, how they did the rain dances and stuff, and like the weather conditions were completely determined by the emotional state of the gods. Yeah. So I think that even in if you believe in God, I feel like that could be possibly a stretch, because that's a, who am I to say that is or isn't that?
Right.
But it's the very same thing, because people who classify as Christians, they're quick to say that Egyptians were foolish. Yeah,
a lot of people do stretch like.
So does that mean he's like more upset with other places than, like, he's more upset with people in Seattle than people in? What is that?
Arizona.
Like, you don't mess with people. Like, he's so cool with Los Angeles. Like, what's going on? Like,
I've heard that at the church, not like I said, older people, they exaggerate a lot.
LeBron,
LA, La La Land.
They exaggerate. They had 2-3 earthquakes over there though.
Yeah. Wait, what is earthquakes then? Like,
a lot of people shy away from these questions.
Yeah, because they don't like to question God. If you talk to somebody about it, they'll be like, "Oh, you questioning God? You can't do that." So
yeah, and I really feel like it's bad in general, because even in the book, right, in the Bible, it tells you not to question God. It's saying, and like I had one particular phrase that came to mind. I thought it was, it's not for us to understand how he works. And I tried to look it up, and there's actually a whole like slew of like things like this. And it says, if you lack wisdom, ask God, but don't doubt. Like, so pretty much it's saying, whatever happens, take it at face value. Just
or whatever's in the word, just
take it for what it is. And it's saying, it's like, you're not God. You're a human. You're not going to understand. And I personally feel like that's a write-off.
Yes.
Somebody was saying like,
I was about to ask you, like, what do you think of that?
Because you think about like a lot of these things. If you look from a curious standpoint, we're told not to ask these questions. But then also a lot of this we'll never know the answer until we're dead, because that's when you have the judgment day, and we actually come face to face with our reality. Like we get to see what's on the other side, but no one comes back from death. Like people say they had near death experience, so they come back and they had these visions, but they don't bring back any proof. For example, you can't die, take a video, a selfie in heaven, and come back and show your homeboy and say, yo, this is what happens back. Like
How can you follow
do that.
something without a real understanding of it?
I mean, that's what faith
That's
is.
not
I know that.
faith.
That's
Yeah.
them keeping knowledge from you by saying that, basically. Just keeping knowledge. Like, to take it how it is, basically. Don't doubt. Don't look over there.
Right.
Look over there.
Right.
Don't know where we're going space, nigga. We're going space.
But a lot of this stuff is just. So I also thought about, because I remember in ancient world history, we talked about the different religions and how people used religion as a way to explain things. So they had different gods that had ways of controlling. For example, one had the weather, one was for fertility, one was for war, and they had all these different deities that were in control of that. So I think even back then, that religion was a way of explaining things that were outside of our grasp and control, things that were reoccurring due to the human nature and the things that we experience. Like I'm not arguing for or against, because I can't. If you ask me to prove that there is a God, I can neither do that nor deny it.
Right.
I don't know. I do not have the answers. I'm still trying to find out myself. But I do know that religion has, as a whole, not just the Christian religion, but they typically have been used to explain things that are outside of our control.
So, how do you guys feel about the when people like pray for like Charlottesville, pray for a place like mass shooting and stuff like that? How do you guys feel?
I feel like if they put half as much of their time into actually donating as they do into sending their prayers, that a lot more stuff would get accomplished.
I hate it.
How many people do you feel actually do pray for those places though? Like how many people do you feel like actually is saying it as a trend, or just saying actually do it like at night, like God, please help Charlottesville, help Flint, Michigan, to get some goddamn fucking water, people. But yeah. But I was like, how many people you feel actually do that? And I feel like most people don't even do that unless you like really Christian, because some people actually pray.
Some people are really about it.
Yeah,
I've met some Christians, like the church I was going to last year, their church out in Virginia Beach, and these people are really about it, like helping people in the community and reaching out to me. Like even in my first like few weeks, they opened me with open arms, and they were providing me like the guy. It was a church accountant. He asked me like if I ever need anything to talk about finance or like a consultation, that he would do that. So there are Christians who are really about that, but then you have people who say that just pray about the situation. But that's another thing that really upsets me, is about praying. I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. So it's so easy for us to comment that under somebody's picture when they lose a loved one. We don't have to get into the specifics of, but
you don't actually have to get into it. Like
we don't.
Have to
we see this time and time. So like, why not? What happened to like the older times? So when somebody died, when you would bake them a pie or like something, like of course like it's not gonna bring the loved one back, but it's just something to show them that you actually care, versus they're saying that I'll pray for you. It's so easy for you to do that and just be done with it. Like why are we not, as human beings that are here as physical beings on the planet, are we not capable of being the catalyst to answer someone's prayers? If I see you're suffering, you're my friend, you're somebody I love and I care about, why can I not through my action do something to lift your spirits and brighten your day? Make your life a little easier.
Different type of gun control laws. Let me say pray for all the mass shootings. Like no, let's go out and vote and let's get these gun control laws in order.
Right.
But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to ask you guys. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as this topic?
Yeah, I would say like as far as like them saying they're gonna pray, even if they actually do pray, like what is that doing? Like especially with like the death of a loved one. If I say, oh, my mom died, and y'all like, oh, I'm praying for you, it's not gonna bring my mom back. And of course, like you said, baking a pie, that's not gonna bring it back. But at least you're doing something.
It's an action.
Yeah, so
it lets
you
know that I care.
It's like what is you praying for this situation that's already passed?
Prayer without works is dead.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pray for a better future.
It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
But then like that's kind of like saying, I'm praying that you get over it. That's how like I interpret it, right? Because like if you're praying, saying, and because like if you ask them, it's like, well, what are you praying for? And they say, well, I hope you can get through this trying time. When you boil that down, you're pretty much saying you're praying that this leaves my mind and I get to
deal with it,
and it's like why don't you do something to help me? Like when people die, they leave finances behind. They fall on loved ones. Why don't people help out in that kind of way? So
and then also
help out in mental health.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too.
Prayers do go unanswered in terms of, so we all have prayed for things. At least I have. I know I can't speak up on your behalf, but I've prayed for.
Okay.
Again,
yeah, I said I prayed to be a super singer.
Okay.
Really?
Okay. So like, you pray for that, right? As absurd as that was.
Have.
So people pray for things all the time, and that ends up not being true. For example, there was someone who I really loved and I care about, and I prayed for her situation to improve, and I prayed that I could be the person to properly love her and that the relationship would work, and that didn't happen. It felt like, I can't say for one reason or another, but I really prayed like late at night, waking up in the middle of the morning when she was distressed, like actually prayed on the phone for her, and my prayers were unheard of that. So I had questions about like why am I doing this? Why am I praying if nothing's happening? And so just because you pray for something doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So in that same logic, so you can say that, well, someone's praying for your situation, praying when in the example you said your loved one died, so just praying. Who's to say that might not get answered?
And then on the flip side of what you're saying, doing all that praying and it not coming through, it can really make someone say, well, am I not good enough? Am I doing this incorrectly, you know? And it's like, if you were to bring this up, because I brought this up to my old pastor, and pretty much the only thing I got was, don't doubt it, and you don't always get what you want. And that's very dismissive, especially telling that to a young child who's just learning the religion, and they're facing something that's really weighing on them, and you just tell them, it's like, well, sometimes things don't work out how you want them to work out. And then it's like, well, what's the point of praying then? What's the point of me following this religion of this God who's apparently so awesome when he just picks and chooses apparently willy-nilly when he's gonna like do something, you know? So I don't know. I'm not gonna get into this. I'm not gonna get into it.
And the definition of prayer is misguided too by like the older folks in the church or whatever. Because most of them just say that's all you need to do is pray. Just pray. You have a problem, they'll tell you just pray. Like when they used to have the stuff at the end of the church, and they bring the people up and we're like, oh, we just gonna pray. You know, instead of actually doing something with people, like you said, got problems.
So, like people's
that's usually after you put the money in the basket.
Yeah, right. Money.
I used to always laugh when the people get up and give their testimonies. I'm not saying that I wasn't a cynical child, but I would laugh when when they would get up and they would say, give their testimonies in the beginning of Sunday devotion, and they would say, well, the doctor told me to take my high blood pressure medication, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to pray. And so that just seems so ridiculous to me. Like, of course, so I can't say whether that prayer would have came true or not, but I still think it's in your best interest to take your blood pressure medication if the doctor tells you to do that. That's just ignorance.
Well, I mean, some people don't trust the doctors in general, and like if you look at it from like a historical point of view, religion and science is always like conflicted anyways. So there's like a deep netted like system there where like people will put religion over scientific understanding, and it doesn't make sense because you're literally rejecting understanding in science. But what can you do when people are like,
people will kill for religion?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, when you're that into something, what can you do? You know,
like you said, after you put the money into the little plate or whatever, why don't they use that money? If somebody got a problem, why don't they use that money to help somebody?
Nah, it's for the church.
Well, not saying
like
all
I asked
churches
you
don't do
earlier.
that.
The prayers are for them. This is the money's for the church.
Why do like I asked him earlier? I asked, why do pastors have to get paid? That's supposed to be just simply God's work. Why is that a job?
Does priests get paid?
But I'm saying, so if you're looking at a full-time pastor, so there are things I do think that you definitely do need money. You can't do it for free. Like you have traveling obligations.
When you say a full-time pastor, that's not a full-time job though.
But that's your
if you're doing more, so let's say you're actually going out into the community and you're taking full responsibility for your congregation. You're going and visiting people to see how they're doing. You're doing the traveling obligations, like I said, to go out and minister to other churches, and you're going to have an outreach efforts in the community. That's a full-time job. I can understand that. But for me to, let's say, me as a technical business analyst, for me to do that just Monday through Friday and then come into Sunday and expect a salary, okay, that's not a full-time job. I shouldn't expect to get compensated heavily.
I believe that's how most of them are paid.
I can't get
at least around my area.
I can't get into preachers' finances. I never sat down one-on-one and talked about them. I'm not in another man's pockets.
But but yeah, is that everything about this topic you guys want to talk about? Cool.
I mean, we can go on as long as we want.
Yeah, that could probably be like a 2-hour topic, to be honest with you.
Should have been a separate show.
Should
have been a separate show.
Oh, separate. Yeah,
we could go by episode.
We were going to revisit it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to revisit it.
I just meant like this topic could be one all by itself.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, but before we go though, Brandon got album of the week.
Alright, so I gotta look at that because I just found it today,
bro. You serious right now?
Because you thought you had one already.
Yeah, we talked about this 3 times.
No, sorry, I forgot the name of it, but I got it right here.
You shouldn't have forgotten. We had 3 times, man.
Is this how you treat guests?
Well, you're not exactly a guest.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
It's family. No, right?
What do you mean?
Treat family?
Yeah, it's how you treat family.
Fair enough.
It's not different, really.
But it's Forever and a Day by August Alsina.
Cool.
That's why.
When did it come out? You know?
I know it came out sometime this year.
Okay.
Don't know when it came out. But I just brought it up because I know he got hospitalized. I think it was last week.
Yeah,
he could barely walk. He can't walk anymore. And on that thread, I saw people.
He can't walk anymore. Keep me with my prayers.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. And the Twitter thread I saw, they was just like, I'm keeping my prayers, keeping August in my prayers, and this and that.
Didn't Kanye say something about that on that song Roses? About his, I'm pretty sure it was about his grandma being in the hospital. And
which album was Roses on? Was it his older one?
Yeah, I think it was
late registration.
Yeah, I think it was late registration.
I don't think he exactly addressed the prayer thing. If that's what.
But what did he say? I want to hear what you.
I didn't look at the lyrics because
okay,
I just know. Okay, yeah.
But I don't think he actually addressed the prayer thing. I think he was just mad that they was coming to him for autographs when he was trying to visit his aunt. Was it?
Aunt or grandma or something like that.
Yeah. But
any stand-up songs from the album?
He hasn't listened to it. Remember?
Said that already.
I kind of filtered that out.
I told you that Lil Wayne quote wrong too. The music guru over here told me it was. What'd you say it was? On the Living Right one?
About the working too hard?
Yeah, but
I don't know verbatim.
He said it was.
We can go to genius.com. We can do it off camera too.
He said I worked too hard, but I am thankful as it came as a gift. He didn't say what I said.
Yeah.
When I said
you said he worked too hard to be thankful as if it came as a gift.
Yeah. So I was wrong about that.
That was wonderful. You acknowledge that?
Alright, we can edit that part out.
But yeah, I want to thank KJ and Brandon for coming on the show. As always, what do you guys think about the topics we discussed today? Remember, comment below, let us know, okay? But we're going to wrap it up. Brian, anything else you want to say?
We're going to be setting up a GoFundMe for my air conditioning unit. Y'all send some prayers up.
Oh, you forgot. Lockout?
Oh yeah. Also, it's week 4 of the Desmond Tillmon lockout. We're making some breakthroughs with the negotiations, so hopefully we'll be seeing Mr. Tillmon back soon.
Le'Veon. Who's been Roethlisberger here? Come on. Let us know, okay? But we see you guys next time. Peace.
Welcome to the show. Go and take a seat. Let's talk about the world while taking a sip of tea. A bunch of brothers come together. That's something we love to see. The company can't get no better. We come from running the streets, but we here now. The vibes all good. We survived. We gon' try and show the world inside the minds of some visionary brothers. We only got each other. We don't support each other. Ain't nobody gonna love us. We can talk about the violence, the silence, the Mayans, the state that the minds and the science, defiance, living and dying and laughing and crying, pure bliss and heartache and quitting and trying. That's real from the heart, truth in the heart. To come up in the future, we just gotta play our part. Can we handle that? Let them tear us apart. Infusion breakdown show. Go and talk about your thought.